So I always tell people, I'm going to help you discover it. I'm not going to give it to you, but I just know what your purpose is looking for. Your purpose is already inside of you and is waiting for you to answer these questions.
Wow. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ignite where we discuss hot topics from our campus. I'm your host, Gianna.
And I'm Aarron. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Yes, Aarron, I have a question for you.
Bring it.
How many times have you personally switched your major? Not an attack, just a question.
Okay. So I had a major and a double minor, and my major was mass comm, and then I had a business minor, and then I had a religion minor.
Okay.
And I haven't changed my major, actually.
Were you a Theo major at one point?
No, I wasn't, but I had a Theo minor, and I have a biblical languages minor.
Wow.
Yeah,
So what are you right now?
I'm mass communication, media production with biblical languages minor.
Okay.
What about you?
Right now I am health science pre-PT, but like a month ago I was biology pre-medicine.
Holy cow. Well, if you find yourself in either one of our situations or you're undecided currently, this episode is for you.
Confused.
So let's go into the interview with Dr. Banks.
Yes. Dr. Banks, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here, and you are actually Maya's father, who's one of our favorite members of our team, which is amazing.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We're biased, yeah, for sure.
Just
we have
a little
strong
bit.
bias.
But in opening up our conversation, we would love to ask you for you to just tell us a little bit about your journey in becoming this amazing specialist that you are of purpose discovery.
Excellent. All right. Well, this journey started when I was in middle school.
Wow.
I'm the youngest of the family, have an older brother, older sister, and I tried out for basketball, as you know, being 6'5". So I really wanted to perform. I want you to remember that. I really wanted to perform for my dad. My brother was not in sports, my sister was not in sports, so I really wanted to do something to perform to get my dad's approval.
Wow.
So in middle school, I tried out for the team, and I made the team. And I was so excited. I was so excited, and I couldn't wait to come home and tell my dad, Dad, I made the team. Now, as I was coming home, I had in my mind how this is going to play out. I was going to come home, share with him, I made the team, and we were just going to really enmesh talking about, wow, you know, you're going to be great at this. So I came home, and my dad, he was really a hard worker. So I woke him up and I said, Dad, I made the team. And thinking that as soon as I said that, man, the tape's going to roll.
Yeah.
That tape's going to roll.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he looked at me and he said, you're never going to succeed at that.
Wow.
And that totally crushed me. Now, he kind of went back to sleep and I'm thinking, did I hear what I heard? Thinking like, trying to wake him up again. I was like, no, I think I heard. And that just totally, I felt deflated.
Wow.
And it's amazing after that, I just really got on this performance track, you know, just really trying to do well in school because they just realized, hey, you're not going to make it at sports. And then I just realized how tiring was that, you know, just constantly trying to perform.
Yeah.
Until another person in my life, Dr. Miles Monroe, he wrote a book called In Pursuit of Purpose. And from reading that book, I realized, you know, that we are truly wired to really live by purpose instead of trying to perform. So reading that book, majored in psychology, and really start understanding now my focus should be more purpose-driven instead of performance-driven.
Wow.
So you talk about, you know, the purpose versus performance thing. I mean, this is a big thing on campus. We're on a college campus, so everyone's trying to do things that will, you know, please their parents. I know
Exactly.
success is measured a lot culturally and then a lot by profit, which I'd love to talk to them about.
Yes.
Are profit and performance sort of synonymous in this?
Very much. And I think so many people in their mind, they're thinking, hey, I need to perform because this is a very competitive society, you know? So I think a lot of people focus on, I got to perform, I got to perform. Why? Because I got to make the dollars. And sadly, you know, I got to throw you under the bus. I got to knock you
Climb
over
the ladder, kinda.
because I want to get there. And I think that's hurting society. And society is really pushing that on people as they go into college. So now they're thinking, you know, what rat race do I get on? And it's really causing a lot of students to really kind of be undecided and think, I don't really know what to do.
Right, and I actually forgot to touch on that. That's a big thing on campus. The undecided major is one of the largest major groups on campus.
So when I hear that, it is important for students to really understand, at the end of your life, basically the whole focus is, were you productive and were you fulfilled?
Wow.
So I think it's important for students. I love Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So I would really challenge the students that are thinking, what do I major in? At the end of your life, you're going to really have to ask, whatever you decide to do, were you fulfilled in it? Not how much money you made in it, but were you truly fulfilled and were you productive? Because that's the end of the life. That is really what you're going to have to deal with.
I think it's so easy to kind of get blindsided by like this prospect of fulfillment. And I think a lot of times we can spend so much time looking for this area in life that will fulfill us, but we kind of miss out on like actively living out like fulfillment like in our day to day. So how would you say that we can at times spend too much time looking for a purpose while missing out on living it in our current day to day?
I'm a firm believer that you really need to be intentional, because I've heard people say, well, Dr. Banks, if life wanted me to know my purpose, then it would just come and
Just jump out.
it'll just hit me. And I don't think that, I think you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to really know how to search it out and really get it discovered. I'm a firm believer you need to really spend your life definitely discovering it, but mostly living in it.
Wow.
You know, living in it, because when we think about calling, your calling is connected to how you're created. You know, when I started studying purpose, I'm thinking, all right, give me a model. And I started realizing, let's look at the animals. Let's look at plants. The plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, they don't spend their whole life discovering their purpose. They're born knowing their purpose, so they enjoy the rest of their life living in their purpose. So I think there's a lot we can learn from the plant kingdom as well as the animal kingdom.
That's so good.
I like that a lot. So, you know, these students at Southern, they might have had inciting incidents that sort of set the story of their life on a certain track, like you with the basketball situation.
Yes.
How do we pinpoint that correctly? Because we want to live in it, but I know at times I've wanted to live so many separate lives. I want to be, I want to be the fun guy, but I also want to be the diligent guy. I want to be the organized guy. So how do we nail down who that person is so we can walk in those shoes well?
Oh, excellent. Well, like I shared, there are 5 essential questions that I ask people to really help them to really start discovering. Because basically, you were born with your purpose inside of you. So I always tell people, I'm going to help you discover it. I'm not going to give it to you, but I just know what your purpose is looking for. Your purpose is already inside of you and is waiting for you to answer these questions.
Wow.
And once you answer these questions, then that purpose start becoming more and more. So can I share some of them?
You do it.
We're so excited. Okay, yes, please.
All right. Now, the first question is, I want you to think about something. All right. Now, the first question is, what do you see in society that burdens you or grieves you? All right? Because the first question is always equated. Most people don't know what's inside of them, but if I can find out what burdens you on the outside of you, I can see that and trace it back. Because, see, your inside purpose is an answer to an outside problem.
So something that burdens me when looking at society would probably be the way that I see like a lot of like our society kind of like misappropriating God.
Okay.
And the way that they kind of project like a falsified image of like who they view him to be and kind of create this antagonistic, kind of mean version of God, and they kind of cast this out into like conversations, and that's probably the biggest thing that frustrates me.
All right, very nice. All right, second question is your population. Every purpose in someone is attracted to a certain population. So I want you to think, is it people in general? Is it women? Is it children? As you see people, which one really are you drawn to help?
I would say kind of like grouping it all in, probably like peers like my own age.
Okay,
like
peers.
people who I can like relate to on like a commonality level, like kind of like intellect and just like social relatability.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So if you had to share something with them, what would be your message?
I would say the biggest thing that I want to communicate is just, you know, he's loving, like he has the best in store for you, like he's your best friend, like at the end of the day, like he's there walking side by side with you, and I mean he has nothing but like your best intentions in mind. Like the Bible talks about, like God wants to give you all like of the desires of your heart, and that's what God is. Like God is loving. He is the author of good things. He's the giver of, you know, every good thing in life that we experience. So that's kind of the sum of what I would say.
So to really kind of give more of an accurate picture, or let's say the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I want you to choose 2 words.
Okay.
What we talked about: motivate, challenge, empower, cultivate. What words?
Yes. Okay. So my 2 words I would choose would be motivate and challenge.
Motivate and challenge.
Yes.
All right. Now, here's the last question. I'm going to give you a scenario.
Okay.
All right. So in this group that you were talking to, there was a young lady. Basically, her view of God is miscued because of things she's been through in her life. So mom and dad didn't stay together. So she's picturing God based on what she's been through instead of his truth of how he...
Which is so easy to do, yeah.
Very easy. Now, hearing you motivating her, helping her, and challenging her, she realized, wow, you know, I've never seen God like that. I've always looked at God through what I've been through instead of who he is.
Yeah.
And that really encouraged her and thinking, wow. So
This is
let's
over
say,
my heart, and this isn't even me, but I love it.
so let's say 10 years later, in those 10 years, she really developed a relationship with God, really strengthened her, forgave, and now in a healthy place. So she sees you 10 years later and say, hey, you don't remember me, but 10 years ago you spoke. I wasn't in a good place. I didn't see God in a nice way. But because of your motivation, I see God as he really is. He loves me. And now I'm doing well in my life. So the question is, if you had to kind of give a summary of what you would like her to become, to live a successful life, to become fruitful, how would you kind of sum up where would you like her to become now?
I would say that right there is I mean, a success story like within itself. Like that is kind of like the epitome of what I think we should be success as. Like finding your own stride with Christ, finding a true intimate relationship with him, and then being able to utilize that private life of relationship with Christ, and then being able to portray that to like the public. And it sounds like from the story that is so beautiful, and like I want for like one day for this to like be a true reality. Like it sounds like she will have already impacted people and been able to, you know, speak and preach from like her heart of like who she views God to be now. And also what I love about God is that he creates such individual stories for us that I mean, in the moment we're like, Lord, why would you even allow for this thing to happen to me? And God's like, hey, hold on, trust me in faith, take one step in faith, and every single step that like you take, I have a purpose for that, and I have a design for that. And I mean, in this story, like she was able to utilize her past version of who she viewed Christ to be, and then lead the masses to him in her own individual path of like, hey, this is what I view God to be, and this is what I know he is to be now.
Excellent.
And this is like a wonderful thing, and God is so good. So
Very
that's,
nice.
I mean, to me, like that's success in
I don't
itself.
know who this girl is, but next episode,
I know, I want to meet her.
book her for next week.
Please.
Oh,
so
you're doing
beautiful.
well. Now, we've answered the 5. Now there is a purpose code. The purpose code is answer number 4, 2, 3, and 5. Answer to number 4, 2, 3, and 5. All right, so I need you to help me.
Ready.
Answer to number 4 was the 2 words. Motivate,
Challenge.
motivate and challenge. Motivate and challenge. All right, so help us remember this. Motivate and challenge. All right, answer to number 2 is your population. So you said peers. All right. Answer to number 3, now this is the message.
Yeah.
The message is really wanting to help people, really. I love what you said real quick, the lens, because I think so many people don't have the right lens when they're looking at God, because they are looking at God through their lens of what they've been through instead of based upon the Word.
Project, absolutely, yeah.
All right? So how can we fashion that as a statement? Just really accurately looking at God through his word.
Yeah. I would say rather than projecting an image of what it is you feel God to be, looking in his word to be able to create that image based off of the facts of who he truly is.
Excellent. Now, let me give you mine. Okay. All right? I'm going to take mine.
Please.
All right? Number 4 for me is impact and empower. Answer to number 2 is people. Answer to number 3, I want people to succeed personally and professionally. Answer to number 4, so that they can be productive and fulfilled.
Wow.
So when you take 4, 2, 3, and 5 and put it into a sentence, it will sound to motivate and empower people to succeed in their professionally and personally in order for them to be productive and fulfilled.
That's good.
Wow,
That's good.
that was amazing.
Now we got to get yours. So yours would sound to
motivate and empower peers. And then the one that you said that was really
You had
good,
the hard job. That was easy.
To see God through a different lens.
Yes.
So that they can go on and
I like the reframing.
and
help point others closer to
yeah,
the
and
true
help
image of who he
reframe God
truly is.
for other people as well.
That's beautiful.
Does that feel accurate?
That wow,
said
the way that is so spot on, and I feel like now I need to kind of like reconstruct my whole track because you just like blew my mind with like maybe I'm doing the
Are
wrong
you hiring?
thing.
With the framework that you've built for us here on the show today, how do we communicate this to people who might be potentially even hostile, like parents who aren't, approving of the purpose that we feel called to live by? What do we as students do? How can we communicate that well?
Well, like I said, your purpose is big enough to encompass several things. Because I know when people think, well, they hear a purpose, they're thinking, how are you going to get paid for that? Is that going to pay the bills? Well, your purpose is big enough. Even if you do go into healthcare, you can still help people reframe how they look at God. You see? So that's the great thing. I always say, get your purpose first and then find the field that you can best flow in, because your purpose is big enough to be able to, whatever field you move into, you still will be able to live that out.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Ignite. I know that for us, and I mean, speaking for myself personally, Dr. Banks was so insanely enlightening to me in so many different areas. Those 5 questions were so powerful.
Right, I got called out because I was like, you have to leave healthcare and join the SJC, which you're welcome to
But
join
you're not
the
wrong.
SJC.
That seed is very much so planted in my mind.
You pointed out that there's avenues to live out your purpose, even within a career that wouldn't necessarily exactly mirror it.
This is true, and my
incredible.
parents would probably be so happy for the fact that he said that, so that they are saving lots of money in me not changing my track again.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow us on Instagram, Ignite SAU. There's always good stuff coming out.
And until then, we will see you next time.
Goodbye.